So in relation to your early example around policies, there's no secrecy around the policies that are being discussed in one of these agreements. So let's take the TPP and patent IP around pharmaceuticals. You had a number of MPs that were offered by DFAT just this week to view the text. If I was to view the text, would it give me the details on the actual content in the text on what has been negotiated to date, on potential changes to, for example, patent monopoly rights or patent lengths on pharmaceuticals? Or is that those kind of details not been finalised yet?
Well, once again, this is the challenge of, when you're in the midst of a negotiation, there isn't such a thing as a concluded text on various aspects, and unsurprisingly, some controversial and sensitive and difficult issues are amongst the last to be concluded. So, no, you would not find concluded text on all of the issues because the negotiation hasn't concluded yet.
Okay, but once they are concluded, it goes to legal scrub, then goes to Cabinet. My understanding is then signed by Cabinet, probably, and then given to J. Scott and Parliament to vote on enabling legislation. So if we can't access the text at these negotiating rounds and at least have input, if other stakeholders and other parliamentarians can't access, then how can we do our job?
Well, once again, I draw a distinction between the policy issues at stake and the legal form of the treaty text. The policy issues are well and truly debated. There's a lot of debate in the media, in the Parliament, with stakeholders, with public meetings run by the Minister, the negotiators. So the issues are well and truly in the public debate. The precise treaty-based form that they take, the way that those issues are reflected in a final text is, of course, there for all to see once the text is agreed. But before it's agreed, the debate is necessarily in terms of the policy, not the sort of various draft texts.
Well, I mean, it is healthy. It's good to hear you talk about debate in the media, because it is healthy to at least have debate on something we may not have seen yet but have concerns about. But
I think from our point of view, the issues have been in the public debate, in the public arena and the subject of public debate for many, many years. So,
yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I agree, and I think it's healthy to debate these things. But I must say that Minister Robb doesn't necessarily agree with your assessment. He likes to label people who raise concerns as scaremongers, including not just parliamentarians who might be being political, but stakeholders in these debates as well. So it's good to hear you. It's good to hear you say that. Could I ask which members of Parliament did actually sign up in the end to see the draft text?
Yes. Yes.
My understanding, Senator, is that 3 members of Parliament availed themselves of the opportunity to view the text.
It's a matter for them if they want their names to be public, isn't it?
And can you tell us who they were?
Well, I think we would probably need to consult them about whether they're comfortable with having their names released.
Were you one of them?
No, I wasn't one of them.
You weren't invited?
I was invited, but I chose not to, Chair.
You chose not to?
I chose not to for a very good reason.
Oh.
And
You don't have to explain to me. I just
I'm
wondered if you were one of
very
the
happy to
parties
explain on record if you're giving me the opportunity. I felt like I couldn't do my job as a parliamentarian if I signed a confidentiality agreement. I couldn't go and talk to stakeholders. I couldn't talk to the public about a very important deal. So I refused to sign a confidentiality agreement. Otherwise, I would have been very happy to see it.
Ms. Adams signing a confidentiality agreement, is that common approach in, for example, the US. It's often cited to us an example where members of Congress get to see text. Is that a common approach there?
Yes, that is generally the way that parties to negotiations manage their commitment to the other negotiating parties to maintain confidentiality, is they basically extend the obligations of confidentiality to people outside the government negotiating teams. I'd like to clarify, though, that what we're talking about is confidentiality of the draft negotiating text. Once again, I draw the distinction between the issues and the actual draft texts that are the subject of negotiation. So no one's saying that, you know, the issues are not to be discussed with stakeholders or constituents. The confidentiality aspect was very explicitly tied to the draft text, and as I've already said, that reflects the commitment that all of the parties in TPP made in 2009 to treat the proposals and draft texts as confidential.
But the text has the detail, correct?
Well, the details can also be discussed in sort of more straightforward English terms as opposed to the very precise, you know, treaty-based text that they need to form.
Thank you. Last question for now, but on the same subject, Ms Adams, how many pages of information are we talking about? If a parliamentarian was to view the draft text and sign a confidentiality agreement, how many pages are we talking about in the agreement?
Well, Senator, as you know, these trade agreements do run to many hundreds of pages, particularly once you include all of the schedules and annexes and so on. However, I think it's fair to say that there are some quite specific areas of policy interest to the Parliament and the broader community. So if you wanted to focus on particular areas, there would be, you know, a single-digit number of pages.
Thanks, Senator Whish-Wilson. Senator Force.